everybody. I'm Rocco Million with Real Progressives. Today I want to talk about the petrodollar and our international reserve currency status. A lot of people are talking about, the petrodollar, and I want to make sure everyone understands that this is just describing a transaction. Dollars for petro, that's all it is. We have the international reserve currency status. That means that we get the real resources of the whole world for our infinite dollars. And people think that that's a bad deal for us. Our trade deficit is a great deal for us. It improves our standard of living. We don't need to fight for starvation wage jobs making widgets in a factory. Okay, let them jobs vacate the economy. All right, our jobs can then focus on society. That's what our net importer status does for us. That's what our trade deficit does for us. Okay, and we have the international reserve currency status, and so that means where the dollar is king. Everybody wants our dollars. So we get oil and gold for dollars, okay? That right there proves that the dollar is the safest bet in the world, safer than oil and gold. And the thing is, when people want to say, well, what if China goes and uses the BRICS and the Petro Yuan or something like that? And I just want to remind everybody, Japan doesn't have the international reserve currency status. Japan doesn't even have half of our productive capacity. Japan doesn't have an imperial army dominating the world. And yet Japan, they don't have a petrodollar either. And yet Japan is able to have a debt to GDP ratio of over 250% and has for over 20 years. And yet they still can't even hit their inflation target rate. And they have a stronger social safety net. And they have higher employment rates and lower poverty rates. Okay, and they use dollars to stabilize their own currency. If they can do it, we can do it. All right, we like it having the international reserve currency status, but clearly Japan shows us that that's not necessary. It's a convenience. But the fact is China wants more dollars. Russia wants more dollars. Everyone wants more dollars, not less. The dollar is in no danger. And the other thing is, the value of the dollar has nothing to do with the exchange rate, guys. If people want to bet on the exchange rate, that's on them. That has nothing to do with the value of a dollar. The value of a fiat dollar is personal. It has no intrinsic value to lose. Government doesn't exchange gold for dollars anymore, and only promises to accept dollars back to extinguish tax obligations. That makes the fiat dollar's value personal, in that I get to pay my tax, stay free, and keep my stuff. That personal value doesn't change unless our government loses the ability to tax. $1 is always equal to one tax credit, regardless of the federal revenues coming in, regardless of the exchange rate, regardless of the markets, foreign or domestic. $1 is always equal to one tax credit. Our government always has infinite purchasing power, okay, regardless of federal revenues, regardless of the exchange rate, regardless of the markets, foreign or domestic. Government can always pay all bills denominated in dollars. Government can always buy anything priced in dollars. That's the whole point. That's why it's mandated by the Constitution. Article 1, Section 8. Congress is mandated to mint and tax to provide for the general welfare of society. So government doesn't need dollars. That's infinite. They make them by congressional decree from thin air. What they need, government needs, is real resources to provision society with things like military, infrastructure, sanitation, legal systems, you name it. All right, so they use taxation, they impose tax on the private sector, which creates unemployment, so that they could provision society with all those real resources using paid employment. It's just a social construct, a means of production. Dollars are just a law to satisfy tax. We can't run out of laws, so we can't run out of dollars. All right, and that's regardless of what's going on outside. We like being, having a reserve currency status, but we don't need it. We could produce all of our needs right here, right now. We could, anything oil could do, hemp can do better. I mean, we could drastically reduce our dependence on foreign oil right now with hemp. And then we can invest in all kinds of renewable energies, like, solar and, hydrothermal and all these different things. Dr. Kabood goes into detail with that kind of stuff. Solar batteries and stuff, where they pump in the peak hours of production, they pump water up real high. And then later on at night, when the sun goes down and they're not making energy, they let the water go down and it makes energy on the way down. That's called a solar battery and all these. So we have all the technology. China and Japan, they are investing like crazy into their economies, and they're just killing us. They're growing and we're not, and this is why. And they don't even have the international reserve currency. They don't have armies dominating the world. They don't have even our productive capacity. And they use our dollars to stabilize their own currencies. So if they could do it, we can do it. Okay, guys, it doesn't matter. Quit saying something about the petrodollar is going to tank the dollar, or we're going to lose our international reserve status, and that's going to somehow hurt something. First of all, it wouldn't hurt anything. It's just a convenience. Second of all, everybody wants more dollars, not less. We're in no danger of losing that reserve currency status. All right, guys, thanks.